Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the Godox Xpro Wireless Trigger. I remember back in the day when I was mainly doing still photography. I was an Nikon shooter myself and I did not have a wireless trigger for my speedlights. I had a pair of SB900, which was Nikon's flagship speedlights back in the day, and they were not cheap at all. I believe the only solution that Nikon had at the time to control their flash units remotely was the wireless speedlight commander SU800. This trigger worked with an optical signal and so did the speedlights. So in order for this system to work, you needed to have a direct line of sight from the speedlights and the commander. So that put me off, because sometimes in productions you put your flashes in positions where there's not a direct line of sight and the light won't travel to the receptor, so the flash won't pop. I think the optical signal might work well if you're inside a studio, but if you're putting your flashes in positions where the signal from the receiver might not reach the flash unit, then the flash won't pop. So that's going to be an issue. And if you don't have a system that's 100% reliable and it doesn't fire every time you click the camera, that might put you off in the middle of a shoot when you're working with a model or products or whatever. So in my opinion, that wasn't an ideal workflow. So I stayed away from optical systems back then. So I ended up buying into the Pocket Wizard system, which was a radio system and worked very well. It allowed me to control my speedlights from further distance and without a line of sight. This system also opened up things like high-speed sync. In all honesty, Pocket Wizard was one of the first companies doing this and was the best company doing it. They even had the radio system integrated into some of the main brand studio strobes. This meant that straight out of the box, the studio strobes could communicate with the AC3 controller or the Flex CT5 from Pocket Wizard. The problem is that the system was expensive back then and was an add-on to your current speedlight setup. If you've seen my video about the Godox photo lighting solution, then you know that I'm reinvesting into a photo kit after years of being away from photography. The Xpro is a great tool to have, and it allows you to communicate with speedlights and studio strobes via a radio signal. The great thing is that Godox flashes and strobes have the wireless system built into it, so you don't have to buy extra equipment to communicate with them. And this is one of the reasons I invested in the Godox system. Going back to the Xpro Wireless Trigger, the build quality is good. It's made out of the same plastic that the V860 Mark II is made out of, so both look and feel solid to the touch. It has a large LCD panel and it can be turned off if needed, or it can be set to turn off after 12 seconds of inactivity.
There's 5 buttons on the left side of the screen, and this allows you to control the flash groups A, B, C, D and E directly. This is such a time saver, as you can see all the groups on screen and what settings they are in. On the lower part of the LCD screen, there are 4 buttons with a horizontal line. We will enumerate them 1 to 4 left to right. This will save us time, as what some of the buttons do will change depending on the menu they are in. To reset all the settings on the Xpro Wireless Trigger, long press button number 2 and number 3. I recommend doing this before a shoot, so you can build your light modes and ratios from the ground up. So let's do that now. We're going to reset here, and it will say reset and the center of the screen, as you can see there, and then the unit is all set up and ready to go. Button number 1 controls the flash zoom, and with a long press you can change the radio channel. To change the flash zoom, you need to press button number 1 and you will see the word zoom appearing on screen next to the flash groups. Then you will need to go and click the group you would like to change. Then use the scroll dial in the center of the unit to set your zoom. It can be set from 24 all the way up to 200mm. Or it can be set to auto. In auto mode, the flash unit will get its focal length information number from the camera information via the hot shoe. Say if you have a 24-70 lens and you're taking photos at 24, the camera will send that information to your Xpro, and the Xpro then transmit that information to the V860 Mark II. If now you change the zoom to 70, the info will be relayed and the flash unit will adjust automatically to 70mm. Okay, we're moving on now. Button number 2 is the sync button. You can scroll between high speed sync and rear curtain sync. So this will allow you to, if you press it here, you can see on the top it says high speed sync, so it's an H and a little flash symbol, and rear curtain, which is like a playhead kind of symbol, and then normal mode. So that's with button number 2. Easy one. Okay, moving on. Button number 3 allows you to adjust the power for all the groups at the same time in increments of 0.3. So if I press number 3, it says all in the screen there, all of them are highlighted, you can see. And if I change, all my groups would be increase or decrease and increments of 0.3. The last button in our section here is button number 4. This allows you to turn on and off the modeling light. So if you click it, you will see this little icon. You turn the modeling light for all or turn it off. Not all the flash units have this modeling light, but for example the AD200 has the modeling light. It's like an LED constant light. So if you press this button and you're connected to that flash, the flash will turn the light on and off. It's a handy feature to have, but again, not all the flashes have this functionality. The next button is the mode lock button. This button has 3 settings you can access with it. First, if you don't have any flash group selected and you click the mode, you'll enter into the multi-strobe mode. You can then, with the group button, select the group you would like to turn on. Once the group is highlighted, then you click mode and it will turn on that group, then click set. With the scroll wheel, you can change the flash power. With button number 2, you can now change the number of times the flash will fire. With button number 3, you can now change the frequency or speed of the flash discharges. To access the second setting for the lock mode button, you first need to select the flash group. For example, group A. Once a group is highlighted, you can then click mode. It will allow you to change that flash group to manual, TTL, or have it off. In the TTL mode, for example, you can then use the scroll wheel to change the flash exposure compensation. And if you're in manual mode, you can then use the scroll wheel to change the flash power for that group. The last setting you can access with the mode lock button is, you guessed it, to lock the unit. With a long press of the button, the unit will be locked. This means you can no longer accidentally change the settings for your flash configuration. It's a handy feature to have. To leave the lock screen again, you just have to long press the mode lock button and you'll be able to change the settings on your lighting setup. The button with a little lighting symbol is the flash test button. The button on the right of the scroll is the menu button. If you click on it, you can access menu and it will allow you to change a few settings. They are all very self-explanatory, so we won't go there. The last button is the macro button. This allows you to zoom in a flash group to see all the current configurations in the flash group. You can change the highlighted group with the group buttons A, B, C, D, and E. I personally like to see all my flash groups at once if I'm working with more than 2 groups, but I think this is a personal thing.
Okay, I think that's it for today. I'm looking forward to experimenting more with this cool setup that I have for flash photography now. As always, thanks for stopping by. I hope this guide helps some of you. Let me know if there's anything you would like me to explain in more detail by leaving a comment below, and I'll see you next time.